Payment please. I look at the number on the screen. The number makes me feel even more unsettled, as if confirming the dread that's filling the air. The taxi suffocates me with a foreboding atmosphere I hope will dissipate when I get out into the fresh air. I reach into my pocket and all I can find is 2 copper coins. They look ancient, one has an owl printed on its face and the other has a serpent. There's a small hatch in the clear vinyl partition that doesn't look wide enough to fit my hand through. As I try to fit my hand through, rough splinters of its material tear into my skin. I scream in pain, but the driver doesn't react. There's silence between us as I wipe the blood away the best I can. There are fresh cuts, but I notice the mark of old scars too. I try to recall where they came from, but I just cannot bring those memories to the forefront of my mind. It feels as if a dam is holding back a great flood of recollection. Eventually, I speak. I could sue for that, you know. It isn't really a question, yet I wait for the driver to respond. He says nothing. I look at the money still in hand. There are spatters of blood on the coins, but I don't care. It's his fault. The driver doesn't look. He simply takes the money and begins to rummage through a bag on the passenger seat next to him. Without even checking, he takes handful of change and drops it into the tray on my side of the partition. I notice the black leather gloves he's wearing as I count the coins. 3 £1 coins, 1 20 and 1 10-pence piece. 1 2-pence coin and 2 pennies. Keep the change. You can use it to repair this death trap. I slam the door behind me and breathe deeply to dispel the negative air of inside the taxi. My lungs and brain fill with déjà vu. It felt like I'd been in this exact moment before, yet I couldn't place when or why. I stumble through the dimly lit streets of an old village, guided only by the eerie glow of gas lamps overhead. The night air is thick with a haunting stillness, and the distant echoes of laughter from a nearby funfair only add to the unsettling atmosphere. You're bleeding. A man grabs me by the elbow and lifts my arm up towards his face. His hair is long and golden, his eyes dark and piercing. He looks familiar, but like everything else within this place, I cannot recall why. Here, let me help you. My name is Anwar. He produces a roll of bandages from inside his jacket, and begins to wrap them around my hand. The blood at first seeps through, but after several layers it becomes hidden under the folds. There are several questions I want to ask, but only one tumbles from my lips. Why do you have bandages in your pocket? Anwar laughs. I'm a doctor. Sorry, I forgot you didn't. He shakes his head. Never mind. My hand throbs with pain. Anwar continues to wrap my hand with a practiced touch until there is no material left. Then, to my surprise, he raises my hand to his lips and kisses it. His eyes gleam with a charm that feels too rehearsed, too polished. Can I buy you a drink? You look like you need to sit down for a bit. The gas lamps flicker as if mirroring the uncertainty in my mind. Reluctantly, I agree. We go inside an old pub and sit at a small, secluded table. I watch him closely as he orders the drinks. "Do you remember me?" he asks, his eyes probing mine. I shake my head, feeling a growing sense of unease. "I don't remember much of anything," I reply. Anwar smiles, a single side of his mouth raising high. "Let's go to the fun fair. It might jog your memory." The fun fair is aglow with colorful lights, and the scent of cotton candy hangs in the air. I feel drawn to the towering helter-skelter, watching people ascend but never descend. I can't understand how so many people were going up, yet not a single one was coming back down. I want to find out and begin to walk towards the structure. Anwar, however, has other plans. "Up there is boring," he whispers, his voice sends shivers down my spine. "Down in the Hall of Mirrors is much more fun." Even though Anwar has begun to drag me away, I still feel the pull of the helter-skelter. I'm not sure if I've ever been on one before, so I can't understand why such a great urge has brewed within me to ride one now. The building for the Hall of Mirrors is old and decrepit. A chill runs through my bones. I don't think I want to go in there. I point towards the windows. Someone broke the glass. Look at the door too, it's barely on its hinges. It doesn't look safe at all. Anwar doesn't turn to look at me, his eyes fixed firmly ahead. "You're overreacting. It's perfectly safe. I've been in there plenty of times." "So have." Anwar stops himself, and then he begins to chuckle. His laughter is cold, belittling and cruel. "You're being ridiculous. It's just a building. Come on." Anwar walks ahead and enters the building. I look back towards the helter-skelter, shake my head, and then follow Anwar inside. Just inside the doorway is a large spiral stone staircase. The air grows thick and damp as we descend. The feeble light of a flickering gas lamp casts long shadows that dance along the moss-covered walls. Anwar walks slightly ahead, yet his footsteps are inaudible. The stones seem to absorb every sound, creating an unsettling silence broken only by the faint echoes of my own footsteps. Inside the Hall of Mirrors, I lose sight of Anwar. The distorted reflections seem to mock me, each mirror telling a different story. Panic sets in, each wrong turn's reflective dead end reminds me visually of the terror I feel. I press forward until I find a door. I can hear the faint sound of music coming from behind the door. I place my hand on the handle and push it open, the music flooding my senses as I walk inside. The Fifth Dimension by the Birds. Track number 5. Does it ring any bells? It should. This is our song. Anwar stands there next to a large bed draped in dark red sheets. He smiles, yet his demeanor has changed from suave to unsettling. "You really don't remember me, do you?" I shake my head. Anwar sighs. "I'm your husband. We've been together for 13 years. My jaw drops. Although I can't deny he looks familiar, it doesn't feel as if our connection is that deep or goes so far back. "You've been in a coma for the past 12 months. You were in a car accident. It was your fault, but I try my best every day to not blame you. But it hasn't been easy. So often during that year I wanted to walk away. But I hung on, because I love you. I brought you here, to where we had our first date. This is the place we first made love. Though there are an infinite number of questions, again I find myself only able to form words to a single one. Why is there a bed at the end of a hall of mirrors? Anwar laughs his icy cackle once again. It's a novelty hotel. I know you can't help it, but you have to understand how much this hurts me. I thought if I brought you here, if we recreated that first evening we spent together, then maybe you would. His words trail off. A silence hangs until I manage to respond. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. I'm not saying I don't believe you, I just. In the room, stood next to the bed with its ominous red sheets, Anwar pressures me to recreate our past, insisting it will trigger my memory. As he becomes more belittling, his true nature surfaces. No one will want you. Now you're broken, who will put up with you? I'm all you have. I love you enough to stay with you through all this, and you should appreciate the effort I'm making. I'm only telling you this because I love you. I'm the only one who is willing to put up with you. I'm all you have. Even if that's true, that doesn't give you the right to. Perhaps you should just go. Walk away from the only person willing to put up with the chaos you've created. Hold on, that isn't fair. It isn't my fault I don't remember what. Always an excuse. You never take responsibility for your faults or your actions. Never have, never will. Look, I'm not saying I don't want to. I just want to take things slow, until things start to come back to me a little. If you loved me, you'd do this for me. You'd do anything to make things right. Maybe you're right. If you think it'll help. A revelation claws at the edges of my consciousness, but before it can fully materialize, I acquiesce, climbing into the bed. Anwar removes his clothes and slides under the sheets next to me. He places himself on top of me. With a wide grip from a single hand, he grasps both of my wrists. He forces them aggressively above my head and, with his free hand, he begins to remove my underwear. I notice the faint smell of rotten eggs as his lips move close to mine. At the last moment, something within me snaps. No, I don't want this. Anwar rolls his eyes. The real problem is, you're just not willing to make the effort to make things right, you never want to. Shut the hell up and get off me. I shove Anwar with all my force and fling him to the other side of the bed. He sighs, a sound that echoes with the weight of repetition. Fine. I guess we'll go through this all again until you get it right. It's frustrating, but if there's one thing I have, it's time. You won't remember, but you made me do this. You've made this so difficult. With a snap of his fingers, the world blurs. The light from the gas lamps fade until everything is black. Payment please. I must have fallen asleep. Where am I? In a taxi, I know that much. But where am I going? Where did I come from?